Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about how Marathon has finally been delayed, and honestly I'm happy about it but also surprised as well, not because of the delay but because there's no date attached to it, so they're like fully going on. Like I thought they're going to delay it until like later this year maybe, or maybe to the end of the year or maybe the beginning of next year, but there's just no date at all. So this might be a year long delay, or maybe even 2 years, who knows at this point, because the later in this article it is like the changes aren't going to take a long time, like are going to take a long time, sorry. It doesn't seem like something you can just turn around and do in a couple months, so it does feel like this is going to be a substantial delay, up to the point where like they don't even give a new release date. We are on the official bungie.net website today, and it's just written by the Marathon dev team. There's no specific person attached to this. It'll be linked down in the description if you'd like to check it out for yourself. Marathon delayed development update. Delayed update. Thank you not only for your passionate feedback around the Marathon reveal and the alpha playtest, but also your patience while we took the time to listen closely and chat our next steps. I mean, that is a very positive spin on that. I would say the majority of the difference between the reveal and the playtest, I think, is two very different sides of the coin. When Marathon was revealed, everyone was pretty excited that, you know, Bungie's bringing Marathon back, and a lot of the old school fans were really interested in what they're doing with it. And I remember the reveal trailer. It was really interesting. I was really interested in the reveal trailer. And then the alpha playtest actually happened, and I found out it was hero based. It was a forced 3-person team extraction shooter. And while I'm not necessarily super against extraction shooters, I was kind of sad it wasn't just a single player game. I feel like that would have been easier to make, but I mean, Bungie hasn't really made single player games in over like 10 years, I feel like. Because I mean, Destiny has been the thing they've been working on for how long at this point? I feel like over 10 years. So they haven't really made single player games in a very long time, so I kind of understand it being a multiplayer game, but they've never made a extraction shooter. And extraction shooter, it's weird to me that extraction shooter is like the new like hit genre right now, because it's a very niche genre and a very hardcore genre as well. So I don't even know why a lot of people are going after it, because it feels like the player base has already decided what games are good and what games not to play. Because honestly, the only one I can even think about surviving is maybe Arcraiders, because all the other ones have already died. Like there was this one called The Cycle that has died, and there's other ones too, but I don't even remember their names. Like other than Escape from Tarkov and Hunt Showdown, those are really the only two that survived, and maybe Arc, with how positive it's been when it comes to that. Just before we continue on into the article, I'd like to remind everyone, please subscribe to the channel. It really helps and it really supports me. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, I understand. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Once we do, I'll be doing a Q&A video. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe. Though every comment and real-time conversation on social media and Discord, your voice has been strong and clear. We've taken this heart to heart, and we know we need more time to craft Marathon into the game that truly reflects your passion. After much discussion with our dev team, we've made the decision to delay the September 23rd release. And I think that is the proper decision and a really good decision, honestly. This game would have I feel like it would have died a slow, painful death if it released right now. Because, I mean, it's Bungie. It's not going to be canned right away, but, like, I just don't see this having it standing on its own legs, and I don't think people would stick around, whether it be paid game or a free-to-play game. The alpha test created an opportunity for us to collaborate and focus the game on what we make it uniquely compelling: survival under pressure, mystery, and the lore around every corner, raid-like endgame challenges, and Bungie genre-defying FPS combat. The only good thing in the alpha test that I saw was the FPS combat, because Bungie is really good at making first-person shooters, and to its credit, it was a pretty good first-person shooter, but everything else was lacking. Everything else was lacking or was kind of bad. The lore, bad. The lore around every corner, there was no lore around every corner. There was barely any lore. The survival under pressure was basically only because the game didn't play like an extraction shooter. It basically played like a battle royale without a circle. So that's why you're under pressure, because you're scared of being third-partied. And now that is always a thing in extraction shooters, but like there was no different play styles, I feel like, that I ever saw watching the gameplay of Marathon. Everyone was just full on running around killing stuff and looting. There was no like sneaky style. There was no people trying to like get the cool loot and leave. Everyone was trying to fight each other. And that's not even me just like watching like, you know, like the shrouds and stuff like that, who of course they're going to be like bloodthirsty when it comes to PvP. But even watching like smaller people and like just the random gameplay clips, everyone was running at each other. Like it was a team deathmatch battle royale basically. We're using this time to empower the team to create an intense high stakes experience that a title like Marathon is built around. This means depending on the relationship between the developers and the game's most important voices are players. Yeah, I mean, yeah, everyone was very outspoken about this game, especially the fact that Arcraiders came shortly after it as well. The differences between the reaction between Marathon and Arcraiders was like, it was very different. Everyone loved Arcraiders and everyone wanted Arcraiders to come out now. Like they were disappointed that the beta wasn't longer. And I think one of the biggest differences is that people were saying Marathon needs to be delayed and people were saying Arcraiders needs to release now and better not be delayed. You know, it's like the two very different reactions to it. And I feel like they're also going for the same audience. They're going for the extraction shooter audience, but on the more casual side, where people who are interested in this genre will step in and be okay with it. Because I think that's a big problem with extraction shooters. And for me personally as well, extraction shooters is a very hardcore genre. So it's very intimidating to play. It's kind of similar to, in my opinion, to like MOBAs. It's very intimidating to play and everyone expects you to be good right away. And especially in the Marathon thing where you're forced for teammates, which is not a good idea, I feel like, in my opinion. In Arcraiders, there is solo, duo, trios, and one in Arcraiders, the third person controls also makes it a little more casual. So I feel like also, honestly, the AI enemies were more interesting in the PvE side of the game compared to Marathon. Because honestly, in Marathon, I don't even remember the enemies. I don't remember the enemies other than the fact they were like robots. So like the PvE and like everything about Arcraiders I can remember, and things about Marathon other than like the graphic style kind of and the controversies, I don't really remember it other than the fact that, like, you know, it was a good FPS game in terms of the shooting mechanics because it's Bungie and Bungie is really good at making shooters, but everything around that was kind of bad or underwhelming. Over the next few months, we will continue closed testing, including participants from the alpha, well, that's good, to deploy gameplay updates and test new features as they come online. Some of our immediate focuses of the areas will be. So this is why I think this delay is going to be very, like, much longer than a few months. Upping the survival game, more challenging and engaging AI encounters. I think this is the biggest one. Like, these two, I think, are the biggest ones because this is your core gameplay loop, because you want people to fight the AI people for more reasons than just loot. Because fighting the AI in Arcraiders was fun. And I don't think people were really having a lot of fun fighting the AI in Marathon. It just seemed like a task to do. Maybe fun is the right, it was interesting to fight because the way the AI reacted and the way that robots reacted to your shots in Arcraiders, I never really noticed that in Marathon. Like the enemy robots kind of just died when you shot them a lot. You know, I guess some of them had shields if I remember correctly, but it really did feel like it was just the same enemy over and over again. But you know, like, I don't remember the names of the enemies, but like you can tell the differences between the AI in the game, making combat more tense and strategic. This one I feel like is just because the game feels too fast, and I feel like that's also because of the hero mechanics. It feels like the hero mechanics weren't properly put in this game in Marathon. I'm not necessarily against hero-based extraction shooter, but I think they did it wrong in my opinion. I honestly feel like it should be hero kits that you attach to your character because, like, you're in a sci-fi universe. Have like a memory chip or something like that. Have like a memory chip that is a class that you can customize and edit, that you can put onto your character, you know? So that like you can customize it, but you can also not have to worry about balancing individual heroes. You can just balance abilities instead. So like, I guess that technically might make it more difficult to balance because then there's going to be so many different layers of balancing. But I don't know, I feel like that also depends on, like, for extraction shooters there is things that are just blatantly better than other things. Like there is a tier system in a lot of extraction games, and some guns, like a level 1 gun will be worse than a level 3 gun, you know? So I feel like there should be goods and bads, so I guess that's also another balancing thing. But I feel like having it strictly hero based is weird, and you're in the sci-fi universe, have like chips and stuff. I don't even remember the loot honestly in Marathon. I remember some some of the loot in Arcraiders. I'm sorry I'm comparing them both, but they are like the up-and-coming games with completely different trajectories. Doubling down on the Marathon universe, increased visual fidelity, more narrative environmental storytelling to discover and interact with, a darker tone that delivers on the themes of the original trilogy. Now, I've actually played the original Marathon. I played the re-releases of them, and I agree with this. Like, honestly, Marathon basically has nothing to do with Marathon from what I know of it, other than the fact the game is called Marathon. And I think that's a big problem. Like, I don't really know anything that, like, I didn't notice anything. And to be fair, like I said, I'm a more newer Marathon fan, and it's not like I've played the game hundreds of hours when it comes to the original trilogy, but like nothing reminds me of Marathon. And I think that's a problem. Like, not even the weapons remind me of Marathon. So I do hope that there is better things like that. And I mean, to be fair, a narrative and environmental storytelling, there basically was none that I noticed. So I feel like this is something they can easily increase because there's basically zero. Adding more social experiences, a better playing experience for solos and duos. This is a must. A solo mode and a duo mode is a must. And I really cannot stress enough that I understand teams are important and you want to be able to play with friends, but not everyone is going to be able to play at the same time. And another big problem I feel like is that the community that is going to be the loudest is going to be hardcore dedicated players, and everyone's going to be looking at what they say. And most of those guys and girls, most of those people are going to be solos, almost guaranteed, unless the game forces you to be teams. Right? I think one of the biggest things in games like Apex and stuff like that is that solo players just like get super annoyed, or like you know, the Wraith player and stuff like that. So I really hope that the solo mode will be good, because I think that's one of the geniuses of Arcraiders is they don't technically have different queues. When you queue for solo, you're just more likely to be against solos. When you queue for two players, duos, you're just more likely to find two duos. And when you queue for teams, you're more likely to just fight teams. Like, it's not impossible for you to fight other, like a solo to fight a team or a trio to fight a solo, but it's just heavily skewed in that way. Proxy chats and stories can come to life. Honestly, this stuff, I understand why other people like it, but I don't care about proxy chat. I turn that off. I turn stuff like that off all the time. I understand I am not the person for that. I just want to play the game. This is not like Rust or DayZ. Everyone is an enemy when I load into these maps. I am not that type of player. So I get why other people are playing it though, because those moments in those games are hilarious, but I'm the person that has that off and I'm just shooting everyone. It is a PvP VE game for me. It is not, I'm not playing Rust or DayZ or stuff like that. And then again, I feel like Rust, there's still a lot of shoot on sight in Rust and DayZ, but you know what I mean. Like, for those, it's not that type of game for me. You'll hear from us again later this fall when we can share this progress we've made alongside the new game's new release date. Okay, interesting. Thank you again for your patience, and much more importantly, your passion. Your continued feedback will help us make Marathon the incredible gaming experience we all know it can be. And honestly, I agree with that ending statement. I think Marathon can be a good game. I just really hope they understand the type of game they're making. Because right now, when I watched Marathon, it looked like a team deathmatch lobby, basically, with hero abilities, with AI opponents for some reason. Like, it didn't feel like an extraction shooter. So I really hope that they can fix that image of the game. And then all the controversy stuff, hopefully they can fix that as well. And I think the biggest thing for me is, personally, the more challenging and engaging AI encounters. I think that's a must, because I honestly don't really remember the enemies. And I watched a ton of footage. I watched a ton, just like Arcraiders. I've watched basically about the same, but I remember so much more about Arcraiders than I do Marathon, because the enemies were just robot. Like, they were just generic robot mercenary guys, from what I remember. Sometimes they had a shield. And the better playing experience for solos and duos, because I think forced teams is not gonna kill the game, but it's gonna be really frustrating for some players, especially in the long term. And if you want this game to be a long-term project, it needs to figure out how it's gonna deal with the fact that sometimes the player count will be low. Like, you know, every multiplayer game has to deal with this. What happens when the player count is lower than what it was? You know, every multiplayer game has this where it's a graph of player counts, but I feel like this one might need to deal with it harder. So I hope they figure that out. But I'm still relatively optimistic, and it's going to be interesting to see how this goes. I'm interested in what they mean by, like, obviously I know what they mean by new release date, but I'm interested in what it's going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be 2026, honestly, at the earliest. Q1 2026 is, I think, the earliest, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be at least Q3 or 4 2026, because this is something, all these things takes a long time. This doesn't look like to be like a couple months. This looks like to be like 6 months to like, it's 6 to like, I would say 14 months of like actual work. So, and obviously coming from a point of view that I'm not a game developer, I don't know how, like, I mean, I kind of know how, but like, I don't really know, but this doesn't seem like something you can do really fast. So hopefully it goes all right. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Once we do, I'm doing a Q&A video, so subscribe if you're interested. Like the video if you like it. Dislike it if you dislike it. I understand. You just heard my opinion. I would love to hear your opinion down in the comments below about this whole situation, if you're interested in playing it or not. If you'd like to follow me on other platforms, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads, all at the Techno Jelly. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video.